Episode 2 was the last one. This is episode 3. Well, I guess it's all about Jim Wilson. Momentarily confused and concerned. It's the guy that you want to look at your Ford Lehman. Oh, you know about the Ford Lehman? My great friend of mine and a mentor. Welcome aboard. I'm Captain Joe, and this old girl, she's my home, Toko. She's a 1982 Ed Monk Trawler with a monster in her belly. I've spent the last few years aboard making upgrades, and now she's ready to set off over the horizon. So join me as I say goodbye to life on land in pursuit of my dreams at sea. Hop on board to see how much freedom I can live for. All right, welcome back, everybody. As mentioned, this is episode 3 of Captain's Corner, and as always, I'm your host, Captain Joe. Today's episode is brought to you in the captain's cabin, aft cabin, captain's quarters, stateroom, whatever you want to call it. This is where I sleep. This is where I read my books. This wall behind me is the aft head, and it's really probably my favorite bedroom I've ever had in my life. So today's episode is all about, well, I guess it's all about Jim Wilson. I mentioned his name at the end of episode 2. If you haven't watched that, please return to episode 2 and episode 1 and all the other videos. Give those a watch if you haven't already. But yeah, at the end of episode 2, I mentioned a guy named Jim Wilson. He was my engine surveyor, and he has since become a great friend of mine and a mentor. As I said in episode 2, I was introduced to Jim via Dia, the broker who was selling the boat, and he came aboard on Sea Trials Day and was highly recommended as the guy that you want to look at your Ford Lehman before you buy a boat. Little background on him: he was a firefighter here in San Diego for many years, and then came into the boating industry as an electrician and diesel mechanic. And he's been doing this for decades, I think like 30-40 years of small boat maintenance and repairs. And so as soon as he showed up, I knew this is the kind of guy who I could trust with an engine like this, with a boat like this. He just had, this confidence and experience that I didn't even have to ask, oh, you know about the Ford Lehman? Like, there was no question that this guy knew his stuff, and I was just tremendously lucky to meet him and have him kind of give the blessing on the power plant on this boat. So, but before we get into too much about what he said during my survey, I'll just mention that I had 2 surveyors come on board on Sea Trial Day. One was a general surveyor. He looked at all the hull integrity, all the joinery, the windows, electrical. He did look at the engine as well, but for the most part he was systems unrelated to propulsion. And then Jim came at Dia's recommendation as the Ford Lehman engine guy. And quite frankly, she probably knew that I didn't need a specific engine survey as well. I think that the general surveyor would have sufficed for that, but I think she was probably being a guardian angel for me and using this as an opportunity to introduce me to Jim in a way that was very natural and could, be the seed of our friendship. So Jim came on, and as we're getting underway, I started asking about a million questions. But before I was even able to ask any questions, he opened up the floorboards, looked down in the engine room, and he said, "Shit." And I looked at him, momentarily confused and concerned, and then he looked up with this smile on his face that told me, this is a good shit. Like, wow, this engine looks at first glance to be in excellent condition, and that immediately pretty much took away all concerns I had up to that point. And then he went in, and checked the heat exchangers, the water pumps, the starter, all these things, all the real important stuff. But just something about the way that his reaction on first glance to the engine room told me this this guy knows so much that he can tell already that this is a good engine for me. So we went through with the survey, and I asked about 1 million questions, all the things, rookie questions up to, things I had watched a specific YouTube video one time and was concerned, like, oh my God, am I going to sink the boat? And he put me at ease about all those things and gave me really the starting bid of confidence to say, yeah, man, like, you can do this. You can survive on this boat. You can upgrade this boat. You can work on it yourself. You can do it. Like, go forth, my friend. And then the last thing in our interaction on that day that really struck me and made me feel welcome in the boating community was that he didn't charge me for the survey. He said, normally it would be a couple $100 for something like this, but I can see that you want this boat for the right reasons. You're gonna bring it back to life. And he said, I want to share my sport with you, and we need young guys on boats like this learning these things. Otherwise, his career, what is it worth if it doesn't get passed on? So like I said, that was such a welcoming thing to say, and just again gave me confidence, was another arrow pointing in the right direction to say, do it, man, like, this is the time, and you've got the support. So he said, yeah, free of charge, call me when you need help. I'd be happy to help you out with this boat. So since then, like I mentioned, we have become friends. He's become a mentor to me. I won't tell you all the secrets of where the business happens in San Diego, but I get coffee with him and a handful of other folks who are well rooted in the San Diego marine industries, and he's just kind of like introducing me to the kingdom of boating in San Diego from the standpoint of maintenance, connections for charters, working for Towboat US. Like, all these different connections are just falling into my lap, and I'm still trying to understand how I've gotten so lucky, or why I deserve such a clear path. Everything I've done since I started looking for a boat has just moved in the same direction of more. This, yes, do it. And I'm tremendously thankful for folks like Dia, and then for Jim, who I met through Dia, and then all the people I've met through Jim as well. It continues to snowball into this amazing family of boaters and maintainers and captains, everything. It's amazing. And so in some ways, this has been a trail I've blazed on my own. Like I said, I never grew up on boats or anything like that. And I'll get into the financial parts of boat ownership in a later video. But the point is, I haven't done this alone. Although there are times I am very proud of where I started and where I've gotten to. And there's certainly a large sum of that is due to my own hard work and determination. But without people like Jim, there's no way that I would be where I am now. So I'm tremendously thankful for those connections and friendships. And without people like that, this would at least be a much more expensive endeavor, and I likely would not be, well, I would probably be here. I would probably still have the boat, or a boat, but it wouldn't be in the condition that it's in. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I do, and I certainly would not have changed my whole life and career to continue this work. More on that to come in future episodes.